Everybody wants passive income and everybody wants financial freedom. Everybody wants to own enough rental properties that one day they don't have to work anymore. But almost nobody asks the question that actually matters. How much of my own personal money am I going to have to invest before my investment starts paying for itself? I don't think that's that complicated of a question. I think it's just a math problem. Now, before everybody jumps into the comments, no, we can't predict the future. We can't predict interest rates. They're going to change. Property taxes will change. Insurance will change. Vacancies happen. Roofs wear out. Air conditioners fail. Markets go up. Markets come down. This isn't a crystal ball. It's a planning model. Think about it like planning a road trip. You don't know exactly when you'll arrive, like to the minute. You don't know if you'll hit traffic. You don't know where you'll stop for lunch, dinner, hotels, but you can still estimate how much fuel you're going to need and approximately how much time it will take to get there. So building wealth works the same way. We're not predicting the future. We're planning for the future. Now, if we've never met, my name is Danny Barker. I'm a Navy veteran and a real estate agent with eXp Realty here in San Diego. I run a nationwide network of high-performing agents and lenders, and I spend most of my days helping people make one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. Over the years, I've realized something. Most people are asking the wrong question. They ask, does this property cash flow today? I think that's the wrong question. The better question is, when does this property stop needing me and my personal money? I call that moment the turning point. The turning point is the day that you stop writing your own personal checks into the asset, into the maintenance, into the holding, and it starts producing income to you. From that day forward, every improvement to the property is paid for by the rent collected from the tenant. Every maintenance item is covered by the tenant. Even the vacancies between this tenant and the next tenant is covered by the tenant past that turning point. There's something else that changes that's changed over the last few generations that I have to point out. Our grandparents often worked for one company for 30 or 40 years. If they stayed long enough, many of them retired with a pension. Think about that. They could only build one pension at a time. A lot of people back in the generations before retired from the military. They have their military pension, they have their disability, and then they went and worked for the government or as a teacher or a cop or a firefighter, and then they got another pension from the city or whoever it was that they did that second career for. So some people built two pensions. And in order to build the two pensions, they could only build one at a time. This is why I love real estate, because we can build as many of these pensions as possible. Because they could only work at the one full-time job at a time. Today, the companies aren't even offering pensions. There's fewer opportunities for it. You could still join the military, spend 20 or more years in the military and gather a pension that way, but it's dwindling. They're scaling it down. Most of us are responsible for building our own retirement. That's why they brought the TSP into the military. That's why they started doing match, right? I believe that income producing real estate can be an added pension. Every single asset you own that's an income producing asset is another contribution towards your retirement that could pay you forever. Not because it's guaranteed and not because it's easy, but because if you understand the math and make the disciplined decisions over the decades that you're going to own this property, you can intentionally build income producing assets that may provide rental retirement income from the rental income in the future. Right? Here's where everybody makes their biggest mistake, especially the investors. They finally get a rental property producing $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and then they celebrate and they spend it and they buy a nicer truck, they go on vacation, they increase their lifestyle. I think that's exactly backwards instead of the other way backwards. It is backwards. The cash flow is not your reward for owning the pension or for owning the property. It should be what is the source of contributions to the pension. You take a percentage of your paycheck right now and throw it to TSP or your 401k, or you even pay into your IRA, right? Why not take somebody else's money who's paying you to borrow the four walls and the ceiling that they're sleeping in and living in for 30 days? Why not take their money, pay for the asset, pay for the maintenance, and then take the extra and add it to your retirement accounts? Right? Don't spend that cash flow, build your pension. Every extra dollar has a mission to go find more dollars. First, you can protect the investment by building your reserves account with the tenant's money past the turning point. Then every dollar above the reserves that you need is either to reduce the debts that the property has accumulated, your money that you had to spend or borrow to get to this point. Then you can take that money and acquire another asset. Go buy another asset. Get it to the turning point, then go buy another one. Get it to the turning point, go buy another one. So it is important, if you have the opportunity to buy something that you can afford, that you would like to live in, and that you would love to own, and it's going to start at or beyond on the good side of the turning point, snap it up. You need to grab that one, right? Numbers alone, not enough. You gotta love to own it. You gotta like to live in it and be happy to live in it. And you've got to be able to afford it. But this one's easier to afford because it's going to take less of your money for less time. So if you acquire another income producing asset after this first one's to the turning point, or it could be invested into the long-term investments that strengthen your retirement, like the S&P 500 index, any index fund. You could build that index fund. You can margin loan against the index fund. I don't want your rental property to change your lifestyle. Not in your 30s, not in your 40s, probably not even in your 50s. I want you to at least wait till your 60s. If you can keep working and keep building more assets, then you can wait till your 70s. You see, as long as you can be productive, you should. You're a human being. You're an adult. Shit, this is America. Identify opportunities that you would love to pursue. Go pursue those opportunities. Whatever money you make in those opportunities, use that for your lifestyle. Whatever you're doing now, you're in the military, use your military paycheck for your lifestyle. But buy properties that you can get to the turning point in my 3 rules: afford, happy to live, and love to own it. So if you can really get that property there and then go back to just enjoying your paycheck for your lifestyle, guess what? You've got a pretty good lifestyle. They pay us pretty well in the military. Especially when I left, I was getting like $4,400 every 2 weeks, and I was just the E6. So I want the changing of your lifestyle to come when you're older, when you're decided, I'm done trading my time for money. I need to live off of my assets. But the longer you can wait, the better retirement you're going to have. See, your grandparents, they built one pension. You can build as many as you can afford to build and that you have time to build. One rental property can be one retirement check. A second rental property is another retirement check. And a third rental property is another retirement check. And that's not even counting this huge account that you're building with all of that cash flow going into the index fund. And one day you might just sell 3% every year. For 100% success rate is the speculation there. 4% a year is a 95% success rate. That's insane. You can totally build this big account. You can have other people putting their money. On the 401k and the TSP, you put in this percentage of your check, they match to that percentage, right? So that match feels like extra pay. So why wouldn't the cash flow from the renter feel like extra pay, right? And it just goes into contributing to the wealth building machine that you've got over there in your investment accounts. So buy rental property, have them build your investment accounts for you with their money. Each property will eventually pay down all of the debt. It builds its own reserves account, and then it starts building your retirement accounts. Your investment accounts get bigger. You can buy another income producing asset. I'm not buying rental properties. I'm buying pensions. I'm building pensions. I don't see it as like every property I own is another pension I'm building for myself and my future family, I feel like every single property I own is contributing to the future of my family. I'm going to make a series. This is the introduction to that series. So over this series, I'm going to build a calculator. We are going to build a calculator together. We're going to estimate the following things. How much personal money should you expect to have to invest if you buy this property and get it to the turning point? How many years will that contribution be needed to get to the turning point? Speculative, right? Planning this cross country trip. We don't know where we're going to hit traffic. How much cash you'll need in your reserves when the property may become self-supporting past that turning point. How long it may take to be paid off. And we're going to do strategic refinances and stuff. So it might not be 30 years. It might be 40, 45, whatever is best for you and your retirement. And what that retirement income could potentially look like if you stay disciplined for that one property. And then the investment account that property builds, and then withdrawing 3% per year for a 100% success rate, 4% per year for a 95% success rate, and also when you're ready to retire, you enjoy the above and beyond cash flow as an extra, because no matter if it's paid off or not, you still got property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. You have vacancies to plan for, and you have big ticket items to plan for, replacements, renovations, right? This is where we can get into the home equity line of credits talks. I'll do a whole video on that. We can talk about cash out refinances, when it's good, when it's bad, how much they cost. Margin loans backed by your investment accounts, how much do they cost? How do they work? Why don't you have to make a monthly payment? These are not shortcuts, and it's not free money. It's just the collection of the tools that when you use them carefully, it may allow you to acquire additional income producing assets sooner rather than waiting to save up to buy that first one, save up to buy that second one. We're talking about leveraging to grow the income streams that go to your investment accounts. The goal isn't to stay in debt. The goal is that each property is a rental income, that its rental income has grown to eventually support and retire the debt associated with that investment. Not Danny Barker working to pay off that debt. The property working to pay off that debt. The tenant isn't paying for my lifestyle. The tenant is building another future retirement check for me. That's a completely different way of thinking about it. By the end of this series, I don't want you to ask, does this property cash flow today? I want you to ask, how much of my money will I have to invest before this property never needs another dollar from me? You see, these guys that own all this real estate, I know of one that owns $100 million worth of real estate, and he owes $70 million on that real estate, right? Because they leverage to buy another cash flowing property. And I suspect that they're not building investment accounts, that they're actually taking the cash flow from each of these properties, living highly leveraged the whole time. And at any time, if there's a catastrophic moment, it could just end the trip. I don't want that. Because once you know the answer to how much time and how much money this property is going to cost me, then I can make the decision, because everything else becomes a math problem. Let's build your own pension, one property at a time. If you want to get a hold of me, you could just go to DannyBarkerRealtor.com. You can also text me or call me at 760-497-9964. I respond to all messages on all platforms. Seek me out and we will have a meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. The background will be here. I will be here and you will be there. And we will talk about your circumstances, what you have done already, what you want to do now, and what you want it to do for you in the future. So let's get together and let's rock and roll this whole pension situation. You know, the companies took away our pensions. So now we have to build our own. That's what the 401k is. That's what the IRAs are about. That's what the TSP is about. So let's just add one more avenue to make our retirements better so that we can afford that huge medical bill, so that we can afford to have the financial freedom to eat what we want and not let our fixed income determine what quality food we're going to eat. I don't need to entice you for this. This is money. It's not guaranteed money. It's money that we're going to plan for. It's money that you can afford because rule number one, buy what you can afford. Do I coach people to take extra risks? Do I coach people to take extra leverage? Absolutely, when it's appropriate with the right plan. So let's get together and make the right plan for you. Nobody's plan is the same.